Welcome and hi from Phase 101. This video is about installing and configuring TRSC, or as it is known, Turbo Rascal Syntax Error. We will cover how to install and configure TRSC for writing Rascal 0.07 for the Commodore 64. I will also show you how to configure it for the Amiga, but I won't go through the tutorials since for the 68,000, TRSC is still in its early stages. We will test TRSC setup by compiling some of its own tutorials to make sure that everything is fine. We will use the tutorials for the Commodore 64. I will try to mention other systems briefly while I am going through the settings of TRSC. So, okay, let's start. TRSC is a complete suite with the following features. It has an IDE, a compiler, a programming language, of course, which is Rascal, a sprite editor, a character editor, a multicolor high-res image editor, a level editor, a memory usage analyzer, which I quite like, built-in assembler, disk support, and a lot more. TRSC was, let's say, intended for or written for the development of games and demos for the 8-bit 6502 CPU, and now also with the support of the 68,000 16-bit CPU. Because of these two CPUs, it can support the Commodore 64, the Commodore 128, the Commodore VIC-20, the Commodore PET, the NES. These are all 6502 machines. And then for the 68,000, the Commodore Amiga. Probably it can also support the Atari ST, but I have no clue about that. I've read some stuff in the forum, but I'm not sure. So yeah, it has the benefits of a modern IDE. So it has code completion, syntax highlighting. It can indicate error messages, show you error messages, and a lot more, like a bunch of fast built-in tools that makes it easier to program for these machines. Please note that TRSC is still in its early stages of the development, so it does crash and it does have bugs, but these will be fixed as it matures. I will now show you from the TRSC website. There's a gallery of programs written with TRSC, and there's quite a bit of them, as you can see, quite interesting ones. And let's say we click on this one, you can see it's quite a small demo, but it's showing what it can do. Let's see if there's some. I mean, these are all what I showed you is it's not a real. You have to download it. It's not the real. It's just slides of it. Maybe we can play a video or a bit of a video. Let's see this one. There you go. I think this is for the VIC-20. Anyway, that was a short video showing one of its features, what it can do. Yeah, have a look at them and you'll get an idea of what it can do. And I think they're quite some interesting one. I mean, there's this game, um, and there are some other stuff done. You can see demos. Actually, most of them are demos. Let's see, it's a game. This one is a game. This one is a game. Is there any more games? This is an intro, and there's a game. So there are games and demos basically. So that's quite good. TRSC can be installed on Windows 10 or Windows 64-bit, OS X, and Linux 64-bit. I'm going to cover the installation of Windows on Windows for the Commodore 64, but the rest is identical for any other OS basically. Um, to install TRSC on the Commodore for the Commodore 64, you will need the following programs. I'm going to bring the websites from where you need to download this stuff. So the first thing is we will need, of course, TRSC, which you can download it from the Lemon Spawn website, which is this one. Okay, and on it you will find the 64-bit, the OS X version, the Linux bit, and also the source code if you want to. Just download it, and we will talk about how to extract it later on. Then, of course, you will need Vice, which you can download from the Vice website by clicking on download, basically, and it tells you which Vice you need to install, and um, yeah, basically you'll have the Commodore 64 emulation. As I said, please look it up on Google of how to configure Vice for your Commodore 64. Then you will need Exomizer, Exomizer version 3, which you can download from the csdb.dk website. And then this is optional, but I still do it. I download DASM. Uh, TRSC has got a built-in assembler, but if things go wrong, you can use DASM. So you have that option of selecting one or the other one. Um, Please note that I will not be covering how to install Vice, as I said before. There are so many videos on it, so it doesn't make sense to cover it. And if you need to figure out how to do it, just Google it. Now I'm going to mention what you will need for the Amiga, although, as I said, I'm concentrating on the Commodore 64 for this. For the Amiga, you will need, of course, WinUAE configured, so you need to install it and configure it. You can, there's so many videos like Vice that will show you how to configure WinUAE install and configure WinUAE. And besides that, there's also a video on our YouTube channel that will show you how to do that for the Amiga. If you don't want to use WinUAE and you want to use FSUAE, you can download FSUAE from its web page. For the Amiga to work, you will need VASM, which you can download from its page. So just to recap, for the Amiga, you need WinUAE or FSUAE installed on your Windows machine and configured, running Workbench as possible. Then you need VASM, as I showed you, running on Windows. Then you need an Amiga directory, which is accessible by WinUAE or FSUAE, where you store the files that TRSC generates. So basically a shared directory that both Windows can see and WinUAE can see. And like that, when you save it, then you can run it from WinUAE. As stated, TRSC for the Amiga is still in its early stages, so I just tested it with its tutorials, but I didn't do more. And what I saw with the tutorials was still good. It was quite good. So looking forward to enhancements in relation to that. Okay, now that we have downloaded the files, and you should be able to see these files roughly. Maybe they version by version from one to the other, but these are the three files that we need for the Commodore 64. Let's unzip them all. So I use 7-zip, but you can use the window unzipping program. I extract everything. And there you go. Now what I do, I mean, we do not need these anymore, so we can delete them. Then what I really do is bring this directory one up, and I remove TRSC win. Exomizer, I rename it to Exomizer and remove the version and all that stuff. I'm making sure that it's fine, but it should be fine, yeah. Yeah. And dozen, all I do is rename it to dozen. So basically you should end up with those three directories. And yeah, we are ready to start TRSC. Okay, so for simplicity, I added Vice on besides those three directories that we had before. Um, it's more to like keep everything related to TRSC together. So I have TRSC and its tools, so Dazim, Exomizer, and Vice, just to be nice. Anyway, so let's start TRSC. We click on the TRSC.exe, and here we have the welcome screen, and then TRSC Turbo Rascal is up and running. Now, the first thing we need to do is go to Tools and TRSC Settings, and we go to the emulator. Okay, so in the emulator, okay, in the emulators tab, I have already configured the emulator for the 64. I mean, this is all Vice, so Vice comes with all these basically. So I configured the emulator for the 64, for the C128, Commodore 128, and for the VIC-20. I didn't do anything else. I mean, if you have the NES emulator, you can configure NES. If you have the BBC Micro emulator, you can, and you can also configure it for the Commodore PET, but I cannot be bothered with those. After the emulator step, click on the assembler, okay, and the default is orgasm, but there is also DASM. So you can leave it with the default, or you can use DASM. Okay, I tend to leave it with the default. Basically, that's it. Then at the bottom, you have external assembler tools. So of course, if we had to specify DASM, okay, then DASM needs to be, we need to tell TRSC where DASM is, the exe file. Of course, we need exomizer, so I specified where exomizer is. Okay, and that's basically it. I'm going to switch it back to the default. Um, and that's basically it. There's nothing else to configure. However, on this same tab, there is also the configuration for the 68,000. So all you need to do is add the location where Vesim is, okay? The assembler for the Amiga. And then this is where you specify the directory where the compiled version of TRSC is going to be stored. This directory is visible from WinUAE, but is also visible from Windows. So basically you create a shared directory or a hard drive which uses a directory as the file system, the Windows directory file system. So that's basically it. There's nothing else that you need to do. I mean, I'm just going to go through the tabs. As you see, there's the theme, the tab, number of spaces, and the font size. Um, Compiler, hide exomizer footprint, remove unused procedures. Emulators we covered. In general, there's nothing. Memory analyzer, font size. So not really much to do. And basically that's it. We have configured TRSC. Now that we have configured TRSC, I'm going to show to you some of the examples that are ready and to try out in TRSC. So all you will need to do is open the project. We should be able to go to projects where I have saved my TRSC. So under tutorials, okay, and we are doing for the C64, so I have to select C64 and then tutorials. We're going to load the TRSC project, and that gave us the tutorials that are there by default that come with this version, which is version 0.07. So things might change, okay? So I'm doing this for 0.07. So the first example that we're going to run is the hello world, okay? That's a simple program to print hello world. Two things that I forgot to mention, or I need to mention, is that to build it, you click on the build or CB, which means Control B. So, and there you go, it built it. And it creates this file, the ASIN file, which you can see. Okay, this is to print the assembly, to print hello world, which I'm not going to do it for all the other programs, but just to make you aware. Now, we just need to run it. So Control R or click on it. It should start Vice, and there you go, hello world. So that's the first example. Okay, I'm going to try example number 3. Build and run. It's quite a nice effect, quite a nice small demo, which it was done in a few lines of TRSC. By the way, all the files that TRSC, so there's the TRSC project, but then the how to say, the file where the source code is called is .ras, okay? So just keep that in mind. Let's do number 5. Yeah, so let's build it and then run it. Anyway, I closed it, but that was some um, basically a play routine in how to play music, SID music um, on TRSC, which is quite simple. As you can see, the source code is quite small, just to do a play routine. Um, let's do another one, another demo. Build, run. There you go. We have a nice effect and also a scrolling routine. I'm going to do this one, which when I saw the code, I just couldn't believe how simple it was. Basically, this is using interrupts, build, run. So it's not doing anything special, but each one, when it changes color, it's an interrupt and it's very easy. So that that is very powerful and you can do quite a lot of things with it. This is one of my favorites that it has. So let's build it and I show you. A big scroll. We love big scrolls, no? All demo days. Let's see what else. Build, run. Yeah, this is another nice effect. And as you can see, there's no complex code. It's not, there's not much. What's nice about also TRSC that it tells you how many cycles each line or piece of code is going to take, which is quite handy, I think. I remember myself counting the number of cycles for a routine, so that's quite an interesting thing to have. This is sprite scroller, quite easy. There you go. This is one of my favorites. Maybe it could have been done a bit better, but still, the fact that you're doing it with Trussell, not with assembly as such, but it's compiling it into assembly is quite amazing. Yeah, and with this example, last tutorial, we come to the end of TRSC, of showing you what TRSC can do. So we hope you have found this video useful and that it inspires you to start using TRSC. I found this little tool, let's call it little tool for now because it's not yet finished, quite interesting, and I got hooked to it, I have to say. For more information, please go to the TRSC website and join the TRC FB group also. Um, for more tutorials from Phase 101, please click where indicated on the screen. Please leave a like if you like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you and goodbye for now.